Hey guys, and welcome back to Content is Profit. I did something smart today. I got Fonzie to record with us because we need his opinion and his feedback in some of YouTube's most incredible updates to date. Are you aware, Fonzie, of what's going on in the YouTube world?
I appreciate it here reporting live from.
Okay, quick backstory for those listening. Fonzie has been trying to get like a hands-on like microphone for the longest time, and he finally made it work at home in his home setup. So good job, Fonzie.
Yeah, you brought me the Rode Wireless Go like a year ago, and I've never used it. I still want a legit one with a cable. I just haven't pulled the trigger and get one, but. Again, reminder for you listening, you do not need one to record. You can record.
He just wants it. It's fine. It's okay to want it. It's just don't let it stop from publishing.
I'm going to tell you why I decided to do it. First, I like to have stuff in my hands. And on the last episode, I had the talking balls, right? Those meditation, Chinese metal balls that you kind of like roll around your hand that are supposed to like calm you down. And we had somebody sign up for the Content Clarity Challenge, that one-on-one free 5-day challenge. So, shout out right there if you want to join us, let us know.
BIZBROS.co/monetize. There you go, Fonzie.
Yeah,
you gotta say
somebody was like, I love the podcast, but with my ADHD, it was a little hard to focus with the Fonzie's talking balls. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna skip the talking balls and I'm gonna use the microphone that you brought me like a year ago.
That was hilarious. But yeah, shout out. I just came out of 2 awesome calls with quick update, by the way, in our world. So we have the Say It and Sell It challenge. Today we unveiled a new tool from one of our partners at Capture. It's going to be amazing. They're the first people in the world to have access to it. And the call, everybody was mind blown. It's so cool. Like we are able to save at least 4 hours of post-production time with this tool for what people wanted to do it, and tackling email, which is one of the most intimidating things when it comes to content. So I'm stoked, and also helped one of our agency customers with their ideation and creation. They were a little stuck, so we did a little formula. So maybe at the end we can go over that. But
are they stuck? Maybe they need to join the one-on-one Content Clarity Challenge for 5 days for free.
No, she wanted like a solution for her podcast. I already gave her, so it's okay. 1 point for me.
All right. Also, you know what? Fun fact here for those watching. If you're listening to this, you might want to watch it. I'm gonna show it. I'm not even gonna say it. I'm just gonna show it.
Okay.
And then people can. For the looks.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right. So should we tell for the people listening what they can?
If you're listening to this, just make sure you watch the video, or you go catch the shorts. Follow us on Instagram at BIZBROS, and maybe this will be one of those shorts
that comes out. Yeah. All right. Well, this morning, I saw a thumbnail of one of our awesome people that create content that we admire, and the title says YouTube just changed. And I'll describe the thumbnail to you, Fonzie, right? It's
bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. In the center stage is YouTube CEO. Then to the left, you see Mr. Beast, Logan Paul. To the right-hand side, I think her name is Cleo. She does like a lot of like scientific essay type videos, and Casey Neistat. And I was like, oh my gosh, what happened?
We were like kneeling in front of them too. What was that picture? That was like
absolutely.
Right in front of them?
Yep, absolutely. We're like next to the CEO. One day. But I started consuming, and the whole talk the last couple of weeks, if you have been in this space, has been about the big changes that YouTube is bringing to the platform, and there's a ton that we gotta consume. And then one of our awesome friends, Seth, who has been on the show, is a big producer for some of the top shows in the world, including Alex Ramos's and Layla's shows. He made an interesting LinkedIn post about the 5 biggest things announced that made YouTube, like around the YouTube news, that will change the game for content creators and specifically podcasters, right? But I think this applies to everybody, especially when a lot more people are kind of levitating towards like YouTube as their main platform, right? So we're going to go through those. We're going to go through the 5 first, and then there's a few others that I thought they were interesting, worth mentioning, that could be really interesting for a lot of people to get feedback and get better at their content creation. So you ready?
Almost ready. Right before we start, make sure to go to bizbros.co/monetize so you can join the Content Clarity Challenge.
That's right.
Can put you on the right path. Now, hit us up. We're going fast.
We're going fast. Okay, so number one is obviously, I think this is the biggest one, is collaborations. So similar to what Instagram has been doing, but now you can do this on YouTube. You can now collaborate with up to 5 creators on a single video. This means that if you invite the guest to collab, the episode will be shown on both audiences. Huge channel growth opportunity by collaborating with different guests. And again, keep in mind, this is if the other person accepts that collaboration, obviously. But what I was watching on the video with John is a lot of people have been like going back and retroactively adding those collaborations on past episodes. So we have some homework to do, Fonzie. We have 600 episodes that we have to go back and submit collaborations. But the main example, I think when they rolled this out, was with Mr. Beast and Mark Rober, when they did a collaboration for Team Water. And it was insane. Like, obviously both channels with big audiences, right? Mixing the video up. And I think it's a great opportunity to kind of show into that. So what are your thoughts?
Well, if I'm not mistaken, I think that collaboration was either Mr. Beast or Mark Rober did a part 1. And for you to check part 2, you had to go to the other channel. Not sure if that would work the same way if you add it as a collaboration, just because then both videos would show in both feeds. But
that's
the idea
exactly
was
what it is.
Can I move one audience, to the other side as well? So, I mean, it might work the same way. Who knows? Now, my first initial thought is, and I'm thinking about most of your clients, people that we help, right? And people that have their own podcast that might not be Alex Hormozi status, right? Maybe level A influencers. If you want to be shared in an above level influencer, that you might have as a guest on your podcast, if you want to be shared as a collaborator on their channel, this is where producing quality content is going to come in. I see a lot of, obviously, very low quality Zoom interviews that you're like, why is she talking to a Minecraft character, right? and they get posted like that, right? Like, a very, very low quality. That's going to change. If you want to leverage somebody's audiences, you're going to have to create something that is worth sharing with their audiences. So probably you're gonna,
under that person's eyes, right? Because again, we're not I want to be very clear. Like, we're not trashing, or at least I'm not trashing low quality content, because we have to start somewhere at the end of the day, and we have to work with the tools that we have available. But
100%.
We've had, this happened yesterday in one of your coaching calls, right? Like, what the perception of the creator, it's like X, right? But maybe the perception of the audience or the perception of the guest is X plus 5, right? And it's like, okay, how do we put it in a position of like understanding what quality means for that other person that we want to collaborate with? So that's where communication works. And maybe for them is enough of a great message, right? That might be the quality bar for that person, or that visually, right? Like, hey, maybe there's a minimum video quality that they require to collab. So I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity there, but it's like, stay open.
I'm not talking Wondery levels of production, but if you have a big guest on your show, I would encourage you to research how their content looks like, right? And then, can I make my production quality, my messaging quality, relatable to their big channel, the audience that I want to borrow? Because if I make something that fits right into their strategy, that fits right into how their content looks like, they will be more willing to share it,
Yeah.
I'm going to an example, and obviously this might be a little far-fetched, right? But imagine you're interviewing somebody like Tom Bilyeu, right? For those that don't know, Tom Bilyeu, huge creator. He funded Quest. Now, after they sold it for billions, he pretty much started a media company. He has a very large podcast, interview based, talks to a lot of people. Imagine you bring him to your show and you have an interview online. Most of his interviews are in person, right? And you interview him online. and then you just give them, again, let's say a tier C, kind of like low level production, like, oh, here it is, Tom, like, can you share it? Do you think somebody, right, that is keeping his image at a certain level will want to share that on their platform? And again, he might say yes. Who knows? I'm just, again, improvising here. He might say yes because the quality of the message might be absolutely amazing. But what I'm saying is we can go the extra mile and present that in a way that it looks like he is the one that created that, right? Maybe we create an awesome intro that is going to get a lot of people's attention, similar to the ones that he creates on his podcast, and then we share with him and he can do it. So I think it's a fun challenge, honestly. I think it's a huge opportunity for smaller creators that are having big creators on their shows, on their platforms. And again, I'm talking mostly podcasting here, to leverage other people's audiences.
Yeah.
But there's going to have to be an effort. And I think you already see that on Reels. Like when you post a Reel and you ask somebody as a collaborator, a lot of the times people do not share them.
Yeah, I'll say obviously, you know, for the creator, right? At the end of the day, when I guess you're an artist, and at some point, you know, egos can get hurt. You know, especially, you know, we have this live example yesterday of like, hey, maybe this is not good enough for, you know, being out there based on the goals that you have, right? At the end of the day, I'm a big fan of putting it out there and improving as we go, but you know, don't be hurt when people don't accept the collaboration. Be like, okay, why? Maybe we ask a conversation, why not? And then we can get better as creators, and then to get to a point where everybody can accept that. I think it's gonna be an interesting situation too with like brands, for example, where, you know, we had I'm a big fan of a channel called Challenge Accepted, where she just became one of the first YouTube creators that are sponsored by Red Bull, like a Red Bull creator. So like expect like these new videos where they're sharing both channels, right? At the end of the day, it's like, okay, Red Bull has a very good quality channel. Challenge Accepted has, you know, a channel that aligns with what they do. Now that collaboration might seem like really simple. So expect like brands where like, how can we get this collaboration feature very creative in a way where like we both grow? So there's gonna be a lot of opportunities. Can't wait to see this. So I think like this episode is probably gonna be like the first 3, and then we'll do a part 2 where we continue doing this because we both extend
the first 1.5.
Yeah. So the second point that I think this is a huge one, and again, under the eyes of not only podcasting but content in general, is ABC testing. You know, we've seen it so far with thumbnails, but you can also test up to 3 thumbnails and 3 titles, which is huge, right? So, you know, maybe creators publish on a YouTube first to test the titles, and then they pull the winning title for other platforms, for example, for audio, different things. But I thought this was really interesting. And then on John's video, there's a live showing like how this works. But, you know, we talked about, you know, on podcasting specifically, your titles are, you know, on audio first are your hooks, right? For people to listen to the show, for example. So now that you get to test multiple versions of this, I think it's going to be very exciting for people that can get feedback faster and they can optimize based on that.
Yeah. So we've actually been using that feature, well, mostly me, because you don't work with this YouTube channel that, you know, I pretty much manage. We've probably been using it for the last month or so. We got some early access, which is pretty cool. Honestly, again, I think it's good. I think it needs a little bit of work because it's not, at least for what I've seen. Let me rephrase this. When we first started doing it with the thumbnails, it's great, obviously, because it lets you test which thumbnail was going to do better than another. Picks a winner. Simple, but very straightforward. Now, with the titles, the thing is, you have to match them, right? You have 3 combinations. Like if you're going to split test the thumbnail, like 3 different thumbnails and 3 different titles, it's not like it splits split test 1 thumbnails with all 3 titles and then the next thumbnail with all 3 titles. And so you have to match them, right? Like thumbnail A with title 1, thumbnail B with title 2, and so on. So I think that maybe limits it a little bit. That might change up in the future. But ideally, I would like to do something kind of like what Meta does with their ads and their creative, where you can just, you know, put a whole bunch of creative in there and and their titles, and then they match them and they make a lot of combinations, right? And they test them out. I think that'll be ideal, where you just drop 3 thumbnails, 3 titles, and then you can test all combinations possible.
Yeah.
Now, the challenge with that is you would need a very big sample size of people watching the video to, confidently have a winner, because it's not the same, you testing, I don't know what would the math do, like 9, 12 different combinations compared to only 3 combinations, right? So your sample size would have to be very large. Now, what we've been doing with that is we have a pretty good kind of like winning formula for the thumbnails that we use for that channel. So now rather than testing the thumbnails, we create the one thumbnails and we're testing the titles individually. For some topics that we know that perform really well, we might do a vice versa, right? We have a title that we know will perform pretty good based on previous videos, and then we split test the thumbnail. So there's multiple different ways to do it. Obviously, it's better for the creator because it helps you, like my brother said, choose winning titles that are going to get more people's attention. But does it need a little bit of work, make it better? I think it can definitely be a little bit better.
That's awesome that you guys have had this feedback. But I think, for presenting this option for a lot of people that you're, trying to guess titles out there, or like maybe the titles is like the second thought. They're so worried about maybe the main topic or about the guests that they're going to bring that, at the end of the day, a title of the episode is a second thought. We've had a lot of people in the studio that come in and, we only do the production for them. And when we ask to see the back end or the channels, we're like, wow, like they could be like, these titles could be a little bit more curiosity based, or we can create a little bit more curiosity instead of like giving out the secret here or so on. So obviously there's a lot of room for improvement, but this effort that the platform is doing for testing inside of that platform is not only obviously a win for the creator, but it's also a way where like people can use the platform a little bit more than just for publishing the episode, right? And there's different features that we can see here. There's other stuff that we might be able to catch on the next episode. That is like this list that John had for almost like secondary options, where like they didn't have enough time to kind of deep dive into it, but they played to where like now YouTube is moving into this space where people can work inside of the platform, right? Including creating clips, kind of like what different platforms can do.
I mean, what Instagram did with the edits, right?
Exactly.
The one thing I will say is if you are a creator, whether you're doing a podcast, YouTube videos, mainly long form, and you are having your title as a second thought, you got to change that. You have to put way more intention into the title at the end of the day, right? It's like copywriting 101. I think it was David Ogilvy. He's like a famous ad man. He used to say you got to spend like 80% of your time on your headline, right? Like your headline is what's going to decide whether people actually read your article or not. In this case, your thumbnail, your title, what people call the packaging on these platforms is what's going to decide whether people are actually going to click and watch it. And if you think about what is the first thing that somebody watch, that's where you need to put the most amount of effort, right? As asymmetric effort. A lot of people just put a lot of effort into editing something towards the end of the episode that only 10% of all viewers that came are going to be watching, rather than putting all the attention on the headline, right? The title and the thumbnail, which 100% of the people that come across your video are going to be watching. That's where your main effort is going to be. A lot of creators, really, really good creators, actually do the packaging before they even do the whole idea, right? Creators like Stephen Bartlett from The Diary of a CEO, he tests like hundreds of headlines and thumbnails, right? They run ads and they see how people react, so then they can have the winning combination when they finally publish the episode so organically. So again, you don't need to have those sort of resources and put that much money and time if you don't have to, obviously. But I would say focus a lot of your energy and your intention into making better headlines and better thumbnails, because a 1-2% increase on your click-through rate can literally change hugely the amount of views that your videos or your podcast can have.
Yeah, 100%. These are some of the things that obviously we chat about, at least every Thursday with the Q&As on Business Creator Club. So you can go to businesscreator.club. And if you want a little bit more specialized attention with Fonzie specifically, you can go to bizbros.co/monetize. So you can do the Clarity Challenge, which at the time of this recording is still free. Let's go. Thank you, Fonzie. All right. So
one-on-one, baby.
To wrap up, we have about 5 more minutes to wrap up for the first 3, and then, like I said, we're gonna do a part 2 with the rest of it. But this is something that has been present in the podcasting audio only world for quite a bit, but I think it's gonna shake up the industry when it comes to video production. Right? It's dynamic brand deals. Right? So in the past, obviously, if you're familiar with dynamic ads, or if you're not familiar with dynamic ads, basically you can upload your main episode without any kind of sponsorships baked in, and then you can select the spots in the episode where you want to put that available for a month, 2 months, 3 months, or just campaign specific of that ad. So that way, your video lives evergreen, and then you can resell those ad spots and so on. That was not an option for YouTube or video content before, and now it is, right? The YouTube world is going nuts over this one. This is like directly from Seth's post, right? And podcasters have been doing dynamic for a long time. However, being able to dynamically insert and remove brand deals and not being forced to keep those ads baked in forever will be huge, like we mentioned, right? Like this is one of the reasons like we kind of hung on onto like the property, like our show in YouTube. Like that's why we don't run ads on YouTube. We're not gonna bake in anything except our own stuff. And then I think it's very exciting to kind of see this, and I think it's gonna open up the doors for a lot of obviously video creators and opportunities where it's like, hey, maybe a holiday ad, maybe a holiday promotion, maybe XYZ. So more options to sell more ads. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's more opportunity, right? I mean, imagine before you had to sell a campaign on, I'm going to sell you the next 5 episodes, and you had to bake it in. Obviously, you would have to figure out what was, from probably your previous episodes, how many listens you usually get, and you sell something based on that. Again, if you want more and better content, the best content in sponsorship, go check out our homie Justin Moore, and go check out the episodes that we did with him. But what I see here is opportunity, like you said, right? Like you can price campaigns differently. So imagine you to have pretty good evergreen, content. Like your content, the long tail of it, might receive who knows how many views. And if you have that number, you can probably add that now to a current campaign and earn more with somebody, right? Like now, rather than putting a sponsorship for a brand in your next, 5 episodes, they can have it for the previous 200 episodes. They're still getting a whole bunch of views, or maybe they're not getting as much views, but collectively it's a pretty good number, and that can increase that revenue for the creator. So I think it's a great opportunity. Not only that, it probably, thinking about it, baked in ads are probably going to be way more valuable now, because you're like, hey, like I can sell you a baked in ad, but that thing is going to be probably a little bit more expensive.
That's a great,
stay there forever, right? So
that's a great point.
How do you manage those in terms of pricing when you're working with these brands? I think it's going to be pretty interesting.
I mean, I think it's also a super interesting spot for, people that have their own products where, sometimes you might be creating content specifically for a launch that you might be doing, or like a specific outcome that you want, and it has to be baked in. And then the content's good, but then the call to action, stays there forever, and you might not sell that down the line because maybe the product
just becomes irrelevant.
Exactly. So I think like, if you own your own business and you advertise through YouTube, I think this is massive, because you can still have your high performing videos and then just update your call to action based on the campaign that you might be running for that period of time. So I think that's massive. It's like, okay, for this period of time, we have this content inventory of like 20, 30, 50 videos on this topic that are really good. They continue to perform. Maybe we can run ads to it on the back end, and we're using those assets to promote our next campaign on our next launch. So, I think it's going to be incredible for a number of reasons. And I can't wait to see kind of like how people are not apart from brands and sponsorships, like how people are using it for their specific videos. And, it adds to it. And maybe we talk about this on the next episode on Thursday, but it's also, you can now be also present on YouTube Shorts like this. So obviously a lot of shorts, they gain a little bit more traction, different things, and you're able to present these offers right on Shorts. Yeah.
Actually, I like that thought even better than what I was saying about the sponsorships. Sure, obviously sponsorships are cool, and a lot of people are probably going to go for it. I feel like that's the first thought that people have in mind when they talk about monetizing. But if you have a business, you have products, services, right? You have offers, you might be rotating them. You have different lead magnets that you might be using, seasonally, or, you come up with new initiatives. Absolutely. It's amazing, right? Imagine, I don't know, this is a random number, but imagine 50% of your listens in podcasts or your views on YouTube come from your last video. And all other 50% of the views come from previous videos.
Yeah.
You are literally doubling the exposure of that call to action, that new resource, that new offer by inserting this dynamic ad. I think that is an incredible opportunity. So
yeah, can't wait to see. And if you're listening to this or watching, if you're already trying it out, send us a message at BIZBROS Go on Instagram. Find us on Facebook. Obviously, you can also leave a comment here on YouTube and Spotify. So let us know. We'd like to hear how you're using it and what results you're getting from it. So I think there's a ton of potential for all of this, and I think YouTube is taking some good steps to helping not only the big creators but also the smaller creators that are starting on this platform. Fonzie, anything else you want to add before we head out?
Not really. I'm excited for part 2.
Yeah. How's it feel having a microphone in your hand?
Feels good. Feels awesome. I'm not gonna lie. This one is nice, but it doesn't feel like I'm not a big fan of.
You want a chunky, heavy one. That's what you want. You want a chunky, heavy mic.
This one lacks the weight that implies.
This is too much influencer. Too much influencer on this one.
Yeah, next time I'm just gonna put it on a spatula.
Yeah, exactly. You should do it. Yeah. Or the fork. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning into Content is Profit. Make sure to check out the Business Creator Club, businesscreator.club, or you can go and do the Clarity Challenge with Fonzie at bizbros.co/monetize. Pick and choose. I say start with the Clarity Challenge and then roll into the community or anything else afterwards. But we're here to help present opportunities, and let's help you create content. Create profits from your content. Let's go. See you guys on Thursday. Take care.
Let's go.